You reached someone who already knew your story, Nora.
He broke my ribs. Desperate, she sent a message asking for help, unaware she wasn't texting her friend, but the Mafia boss, the most dangerous man in the city. What she didn't know, he had been involved from the very beginning, and from that moment on, her life would never be the same.
Welcome to my library. I'm Lena, and our story is just beginning.
Chapter 1. The Text.
I sent a message, and I don't know who will answer.
The pain is so deep, I can't tell where my body ends and the floor begins. I'm lying on the cold porcelain tile of the living room, and every attempt to breathe feels like someone's driving a blade between my ribs. Not just any blade, but something rusted, slow, designed to hurt more. Tyler left. Of course he left. He always leaves after. He slams the door so hard the pictures on the wall shake, and I'm left here, bleeding on the inside, wondering how I got to this point in my life. 25 years old, and I'm on the floor of my own apartment, unable to move, with the taste of blood in my mouth and the sound of my ragged breathing echoing in the silence. I need help. That's the only thing clear in my head right now. I need Jade, my best friend, the only person who knows how bad this has been, even though I never admit out loud just how bad. She's always telling me to leave Tyler. But it's complicated when you start to believe that maybe you deserve this. Maybe it's your fault. Maybe if you were better, prettier, quieter, he wouldn't need to do this. My phone is a few inches from my hand. I can see the cracked screen reflecting the dim light from the lamp. Every movement is a negotiation with pain. I stretch my fingers, and my body screams in protest. The pain shoots from my right side. So sharp my vision darkens at the edges. I breathe. Or try to. It's more of a broken gasp than anything functional. My fingers touch the corner of the device and I pull it close with agonizing slowness. When I finally manage to unlock it, my hands are shaking so badly I almost drop it. Jade. I need Jade. I open my messages and type with trembling fingers. Every letter is a monumental effort. He broke my ribs. I can't breathe. I need help. I hit send before the pain makes me pass out, before the fear paralyzes me completely. The message goes through, and I close my eyes, trying to focus on anything besides the feeling that my chest is being crushed from the inside. The phone vibrates in my hand, too fast. Jade takes forever to respond. She always takes forever, always busy with something, some client, some problem at the salon. But this was instant. I open my eyes, forcing focus on the lit screen. Address. Now. My heart races, and that makes the pain worse. The text doesn't sound like Jade. No emoji, none of her way of writing. But maybe it's the urgency. Maybe she's just being direct because she realizes how serious this is. With fingers that barely obey, I type my address. Every number, every letter, is a battle. When I finish, I can barely see the screen because my tears blur everything. The response comes in seconds. On my way. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I can handle 10 minutes. I close my eyes again, trying to count the seconds. But the pain makes me lose track of everything. I don't know if 2 minutes or 20 have passed when I hear the sound. Heavy footsteps in the hallway. Fast. Determined. Then my apartment door explodes. There's no other word for it. It simply explodes inward, the lock giving way with a violent crack. And suddenly there's a man in my living room. Tall, broad shoulders filling the doorframe, and even through the fog of pain I can feel the energy he brings. Something dangerous, something intense, something that makes the air heavier. He sees me on the floor and freezes for a fraction of a second. Nora? My name in his mouth is a shock. It's not Jade's voice. Definitely not Jade. It's a male voice. Deep, loaded with something that sounds like horror and fury mixed together. And it's familiar. Terribly familiar. Even after 7 years without hearing it. My eyes widen as he crouches beside me, and I finally manage to focus on his face. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that used to look at me with an intensity that made me forget my own name. Black hair slightly disheveled as if he'd run here. Kieran Vale. No, it can't be. Kieran. My voice comes out broken, barely more than a hoarse whisper. Why are you? Don't talk. He's already examining me. Hands firm but surprisingly gentle, touching my face, my neck, sliding to my side where the pain is worst. When his fingers brush the area of the broken ribs, I can't hold back the moan of pain. Don't move, Nora. Just don't move. He picks me up like I weigh nothing, and the change in position makes my vision darken. I fight not to pass out, because none of this makes sense. Kieran Vale is here. The man who disappeared from my life 7 years ago without a word, without an explanation, leaving only a universe-sized hole in my chest. And now he's carrying me out of my apartment, as if he'd never left. Kieran, I try again, but he cuts me off with a look so fierce the words die in my throat. Later. You'll explain everything to me later. Right now, I need to get you to a hospital. He places me in the back seat of a car that looks like it costs more than everything I own in life. The interior smells like expensive leather and something that's purely him, a fragrance my memory kept even when I tried to forget. The car takes off before I even fully process what's happening. Who did this? His voice is low now, too controlled, and that's somehow scarier than if he were yelling. He looks at me in the rearview mirror, and the intensity of those dark eyes hits me like a punch. Nora, who did this to you? The tears come before I can stop them. They're not just from the physical pain, they're for everything. For the humiliation, for the fear, for being here, broken, being saved by the only man who managed to break me in a completely different way. Tyler, I whisper, and the word comes out loaded with so much shame I want to disappear. The silence that follows is deafening. Kieran says nothing, but I see his hands grip the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turn white. His jaw clenches. Once, twice, and something in the car changes. The temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. Tyler, he repeats, and it's not a question. It's a death sentence. You know him? I ask, confused by the reaction, by the way he said the name as if he already knew exactly who he is. I know him. The answer is short, clipped, final. He doesn't elaborate, and I don't have the energy to insist. The hospital is private, the kind of place where they don't ask inconvenient questions. Kieran carries me inside, and within minutes I'm on a gurney with doctors around me. Someone gives me something for the pain, and finally, the agony begins to fade to something more bearable. When I wake up, I don't know how much time has passed. The room is private, silent except for the soft beep of some monitor. My body hurts, but it's a different pain now, muffled by medication. I can breathe without feeling like I'm going to die, and Kieran is here, sitting in the chair beside the bed, elbows resting on his knees, head down, as if he's praying or planning a murder, maybe both. When he realizes I'm awake, he lifts his head, and the expression on his face steals the air I just got back. There's fury there, pure, distilled fury, the kind that could burn cities, but there's something else too, something that looks dangerously like fear, like guilt, like an emotional intensity I haven't seen in him for 7 years. 3 broken ribs, he says, voice low and controlled, severe contusions, internal cut that nearly punctured your lung. Each word is pronounced with deadly precision. He did this. Tyler did this to you. It's not a question, but I nod anyway, unable to look away from him. How long? 6 months, I whisper. It started 6 months ago. Today was worse. Something breaks in his expression, just for a second, but I see it. I see the mask of control crack, revealing something raw and violent underneath. You're not going back there, he says, and it's not a suggestion. Never again. You hear me, Nora. Never again. I should argue. I should ask what right he has to show up after 7 years and start giving orders in my life. But I'm too tired, too hurt, and a part of me, that part that never really got over Kieran Vale, just wants to let him protect me, even knowing he's dangerous in a completely different way from Tyler. How are you on the other end of that message? I finally managed to ask. I tried to send it to Jade. His eyes meet mine, and there are so many layers of emotion there I can't process them all. You saved my number, he says softly. 7 years ago. It's still in your phone. You deleted the name, but the number stayed. My heart skips a beat. And Tyler, he continues, each word measured, works for me. He doesn't know I'm the boss, but now I know exactly who he is. The way he says it makes my blood freeze and boil at the same time. There's an implicit promise in those words, a promise of violence, of revenge, of something irreversible, and I should be scared. I should be horrified, but all I can feel is a treacherous, intense relief. What are you going to do? I whisper. Kieran leans forward, taking my hand with a gentleness that contrasts completely with the storm in his eyes. His fingers intertwine with mine, and it's as if the last 7 years disappeared, as if we were still those people, before he left, before everything fell apart. I'm going to make sure, he says quietly, voice loaded with absolute determination, that he never touches you again, that he never comes near you again, that he regrets every second he spent in your presence. And then he squeezes my hand and finishes. And then, Nora Bennett, you're going to tell me exactly how we got here. Chapter 2, 7 years ago.
I didn't know then that loving him would mean losing him without...
The morphine leaves me floating somewhere between sleep and wakefulness, but not enough to erase the memory Kieran's face unearthed. 7 years. 7 years since the last time I saw those dark eyes watching me, as if I were the only real thing in a world of illusions. I close my eyes, and he's there. Not today's Kieran, all dangerous control and expensive suits, but the Kieran from before, the one who found me when I was 18 and working at the corner cafe, serving espressos to rushed people who barely looked at me. He walked in on a rainy Tuesday in October. I remember because the coffee shop was empty, and I was bored, cleaning the same coffee machine for the third time just to have something to do. The door opened, and he came in bringing the smell of rain and something heavier, something that felt like danger and sadness mixed together. 26 years old, wet hair stuck to his forehead, dark suit soaked through, and eyes that seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 bad lives. "Coffee," he said, voice hoarse as if he hadn't spoken to anyone in days. Black, strong, could have been just another customer, should have been. But there was something in the way he sat in the darkest corner of the cafe, something in how he held the cup with both hands, as if he needed the warmth to keep from freezing inside, that made me want more than just to serve him. "Bad day?" I asked, leaning on the counter in front of him. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and it was like someone had lit a flame in the middle of my chest. "That you have no idea," he answered, but something at the corner of his mouth almost curved into a smile. Almost. "Well, I'm here until 8. So if you want to vent to a stranger who makes mediocre coffee, this is your chance." This time he actually smiled. Small, contained, but real. And he came back, the next day, and the next, and every day for the next 3 months. Always at 6 in the evening. Always ordering black coffee. Always sitting in the same corner. And little by little, he started leaving pieces of himself with me. Stories about his sick father. About the family business he didn't want to inherit. About feeling trapped in a life he didn't choose. I never asked much. Just listened and cooked for him. I started bringing leftovers from dinner I made at home, testing recipes. He ate everything as if it were the best thing he'd ever tasted. And the way he closed his eyes on the first bite made me want to cook more, create more, just to see that expression of peace cross his face. "You should be a chef," he said once, licking tomato sauce off his thumb in a way that made me forget how to breathe. "Not stuck in a cafe serving people who don't even see you." "One day," I replied, trying to ignore how my heart raced when he looked at me like that. "I'm going to Maui. I'm going to have my own restaurant. It'll be small, facing the ocean, and I'll cook Hawaiian food that'll make people cry with happiness." "Maui," he repeated, as if memorizing the word. "Sounds perfect for you." And then one night, when I was closing up, and the rain was falling outside again, he kissed me, pressed me against the counter, hands framing my face as if I were something precious, and kissed me like he was drowning, and I was air. It was intense and desperate and perfect. And when we pulled apart, we were both breathless. "Nora," he whispered against my lips, "you're the only good thing in my life." I should have realized then, should have understood I was falling in love with someone who lived in shadows. But I was 18, and completely, hopelessly in love. And then he disappeared. One day he was there, kissing me in the rain, promising to take me to dinner on Saturday. The next, nothing. Phone disconnected. Never showed up at the cafe again, as if he'd never existed, except for the giant hole he left in the center of my chest. "Nora," his voice pulls me back to the present. I open my eyes, and it's no longer the 26-year-old Kieran sitting there. It's the 33-year-old. Harder, more dangerous, more everything. "You were remembering," he says quietly, and it's not a question. "How can you be here?" The words come out loaded with 7 years of pain. "How can you sit there as if you had any right after disappearing like that?" He closes his eyes for a moment, and when he opens them again, there's a vulnerability there I haven't seen since that time. "My father died," he says simply, 3 days after the last time I saw you. Heart attack. And suddenly I was responsible for everything. For the business. For the people who depended on him. For a world you couldn't even imagine existed. You could have told me. Could have explained. And said what? "Nora." He leans forward, voice low and intense. "That my father ran half of Boston's underworld. That I was inheriting an empire built on violence. That you, with your dreams of Maui and beachfront restaurants, would become a target just for being with me." My heart squeezes painfully. "You were 18, he continues, each word seeming torn out by force. "Your whole life ahead of you. You were bright and full of light, and I was about to drown in darkness. Keeping you close would have been condemning you. So you decided for me." My voice trembles with mixed anger and pain. "Decided I was too fragile, too innocent, not strong enough to choose to stay. I was protecting you. You destroyed me." Tears burn my eyes. "And you destroyed me, Kieran. And you didn't even have the decency to give me a reason. You just disappeared. The silence that falls between us is heavy and suffocating." I see pain flash across his face, quick as lightning, before being replaced by that mask of control. "I know," he finally says, voice hoarse. I know I did, and I've carried that with me every day for the last 7 years. But keeping you alive seemed more important than keeping you happy. And look where that got me. My words come out bitter. I spent 7 years trying to forget you, trying to feel for someone else half of what I felt for you. And I ended up with someone who uses me as a punching bag. The change in him is instantaneous. His eyes darken in a way that makes my breath fail. And suddenly the entire atmosphere in the room changes. It becomes charged, dangerous. Tyler, he says, and the name sounds like a sentence. Tell me about him. Why? I ask, defiant, despite the fear I feel crawling up my spine. What are you going to do? Whatever's necessary. There's no hesitation, no doubt. But first I need to know everything. So I tell him about meeting Tyler 2 years ago at the supermarket, about how he was charming at first, attentive, different, about how gradually the compliments turned into criticism, about how the criticism turned into yelling, about how the yelling turned into shoves, about how the shoves turned into punches. Kieran doesn't interrupt, just listens, but I see each word dig deeper into him. I see the fury growing like a silent storm behind those dark eyes. He works at a warehouse, I continue, voice small, night shift. Says the boss is demanding but pays well. Says the work is stressful, and that's why he sometimes loses his patience with me. The Dover Street warehouse, Kieran says, not as a question. I freeze. How do you know? Because it's mine. One of 12 warehouses I operate in Boston. He stands, starts pacing the room like a caged predator. Tyler Cross, 27 years old, works on the distribution line for 18 months. Has no idea who really signs his paychecks. The way he says it, with so much detail, so quickly, makes me realize something that should have been obvious from the start. You already knew. My voice is a shocked whisper. You already investigated him. Of course I investigated. He stops pacing, stares at me with an intensity that leaves me breathless. The moment you said his name, I made 2 calls. I know where he lives. I know how much is in his bank account. I know the relationship with you started 2 years ago and the abuse 6 months ago. I know he has 3 citations for disorderly conduct and 1 assault charge that was dropped. I know everything. Nora, it should scare me. The efficiency with which he gathered information. The power implicit in getting all this in a few hours. But all I feel is a strange mixture of relief and something hotter, more dangerous. And what are you going to do with that information? He returns to the chair, sits, takes my hand with a gentleness that completely contradicts the violence I see promised in his eyes. I'm going to make sure you never have to be afraid again. His fingers trace soft patterns on mine, and it's so familiar it hurts. I'm going to give you protection, a safe place, everything you need. And Tyler, he'll pay. Simple, final, terrifying. Kieran, no, he squeezes my hand. Don't ask me to let it go. Not after what I saw today. Not after knowing he broke you like this. Because loving you would kill me. I repeat his words from hours ago. That's what you said. That loving you was too dangerous. And it still is. He doesn't deny it. My world is violence and shadows, Nora. It's still everything I tried to spare you from. But you're already in it now, whether I like it or not. Tyler put you here the moment he raised his hand to you. So what? You're going to protect me and then disappear again when you decide I'm a risk. The pain that crosses his face is genuine and deep. No, the word comes out firm. Never again. Leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life, and I spent every day of these 7 years hating myself for it, carrying you with me. Every woman I met, I compared to you. Every meal, I remembered the ones you cooked. Every black coffee, I saw you at 18 smiling at me. My heart is beating so hard I'm sure he can hear it. You have to understand something, he continues, voice low and intense, leaning until our faces are inches apart. I never stopped loving you, never stopped wanting you. I just learned to live with the pain because I thought it was the price of your safety. But now that I've found you again like this, broken by someone who should have protected you, I can't pretend anymore that staying away is the right answer. Tears stream down my face before I can stop them. It's 7 years of hurt and love and anger and longing all coming out at once. You hurt me so much, I whisper. I know, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making up for it. If you'll let me, I should send him away. Should say it's too late. The damage is done. I can't trust him again. But when I look in his eyes, I see the same pain reflected. I see the 26-year-old boy who fell in love with me while his world was falling apart. I see the 33-year-old man who broke down my door just because I thought I was texting my best friend. I'm scared, I finally admit. Of me, of everything. Of you disappearing again. Of Tyler coming back. Of being so broken I don't know how to trust anyone anymore. Kieran releases my hand, only to caress my face with a tenderness that undoes me. Then don't trust yet. but let me protect you. Let me make sure you're safe. Let me show you that this time, I'm not going anywhere. And God help me. But I nod. I nod because I'm tired of being afraid, tired of being alone, tired of pretending I don't feel anything when I look at him. Okay, I whisper. He closes his eyes as if he'd just won a war, presses his forehead to mine for a moment, so intimate it feels more dangerous than any kiss. You won't regret this, he promises against my skin. I promise. Nora, you'll never regret me again. I just hope it's true. Chapter 3. Under his protection.
Safety feels strange when it comes from someone this dangerous.
3 days in the hospital and they finally release me. My ribs still hurt with every breath, but it's a manageable pain now. Medicated, bearable. What's not bearable is the idea of going back to that apartment, to the walls that watched Tyler break me, to the floor where I bled waiting for help that came from the most unlikely place. You're not going back there. Kieran says this while signing my discharge papers, voice firm and leaving no room for argument. He's standing beside the bed, dark gray suit that smells like luxury, and there's something in the way he occupies space that makes the entire room seem smaller. My things are there, I try to argue, but it's weak, and we both know it, already taken care of. He doesn't even look at me as he says it, busy on his phone. Team went this morning, clothes, personal items, everything, being moved to my house right now. You can't just, I can. Now he looks, and the intensity of those dark eyes makes me swallow the words. And I will. You're staying with me until it's safe, Nora. Non-negotiable, I should argue. Should insist on my independence. Say I can take care of myself. But the broken ribs tell a different story. And the truth is, I'm too terrified to go back to that place alone. So I just nod, and something in his face relaxes, as if he'd been prepared for a battle he didn't have to fight. His car is as intimidating as he is. Black, silent, luxurious in a way that makes my stomach turn. It doesn't belong in my world. Kieran helps me in with a gentleness that completely contradicts the hardness emanating from him, and when his fingers brush my arm, I feel that familiar spark, that heat that never really died, just lay dormant under layers of hurt. The house is in Beacon Hill, of course it is. 3-story brownstone, classic facade, the kind of place that screams old money and established power. But it's when I walk inside that my world stops. It's beautiful. Not ostentatious, but elegant. Dark wood floors, furniture that looks carefully chosen, art on the walls worth more than my life. But what completely steals my breath is when he leads me to the kitchen. It's enormous. Central marble island, state-of-the-art appliances, more prep space than I knew existed in residences. Perfect lighting falling from skylights in the ceiling. Clean counters waiting to be used. Copper pots hanging from hooks above the professional 6-burner stove. It's the kitchen of my dreams. Oh my God, the words escape without permission, and my hands cover my mouth as I absorb every detail. The wine cellar, the double oven, the incredibly large refrigerator. You can use it as much as you want. Kieran's voice comes from behind me, low and soft, and when I turn, he's leaning against the doorframe watching me with an expression I can't fully decipher. There's warmth there, satisfaction, something deeper that makes my heart race. Kieran, this is yours. He pushes off the doorframe, walks until he's too close, and even with broken ribs I can feel the magnetism between us. While you're here, everything that's mine is yours, especially this. He gestures to the kitchen, because I remember you talking about having space to create, about fresh ingredients and testing recipes, about cooking until your hands hurt because you loved every second. Tears burn in my eyes, that he remembers, that after 7 years he still knows this about me. I don't cook much anymore, I admit quietly. Tyler said it was a waste of time, that I should focus on working more hours at the diner instead of wasting money on expensive ingredients to make food nobody would eat. The change in Kieran is instantaneous. I see his jaw muscles clench, see his hands close into fists at his sides, see something dark and dangerous cross those eyes. He tried to kill that in you. It's not a question. It's a furious statement. Ian tried to erase the part that made you shine. He succeeded, most days. Kieran takes a step forward, and suddenly we're so close I can feel his warmth, the woody smell of expensive cologne mixed with something purely masculine. His fingers touch my chin, lifting my face until our eyes meet. Then light it again, he says softly, but there's steel in the words. Cook, Nora, cook until your hands hurt, until you remember why you loved it, until you're you again. And then he leaves the kitchen, leaving me alone with that perfect space and a growing desire to do exactly what he said. The following days fall into a strange but comforting routine. Kieran leaves early, comes back late, always asks how I am, always brings something he thinks I'll like. Fresh flowers, exotic ingredients from specialty markets. Once, a Hawaiian cookbook autographed by a chef I've admired for years. And I cook. I start slowly, testing the kitchen, relearning movements that used to be instinctive. But gradually, something inside me awakens. That spark Tyler tried to extinguish. That passion I thought I'd lost forever. It's late at night on the 4th day when Kieran finds me still in the kitchen, surrounded by bowls and ingredients, testing a poke bowl recipe I want perfect. Still awake, he observes, loosening his tie as he enters. There's a fatigue in his eyes that wasn't there before, and I wonder what kind of day he had, what kind of things he did. I don't ask. Part of me doesn't want to know. Couldn't sleep, I say, adding more soy sauce to the marinade. So I decided to do something productive. He approaches the island, eyes examining my work. Hawaiian, testing recipes. For when I finally go to Maui. Why did you never go? The question comes soft, curious, but I see the intensity behind it. He really wants to know. I stop stirring, hands freezing over the bowl. Tyler said it was a fantasy, that I should be more realistic, focus on achievable goals. Said Maui was for rich people, beautiful people, and I wasn't either. The words come out bitter, loaded with all the hurt I held onto. Instead, I wouldn't look good in a bikini anyway. So what was the point? The silence that follows is heavy and dangerous. When I finally look at Kieran, what I see scares and excites me at the same time. There's a fury in him so intense the air seems to vibrate, but it's controlled, contained, like a bomb waiting for the right moment to explode. He destroyed you on the inside too, Kieran says, voice deadly calm. It wasn't just your body, it was your soul. He tried, I correct softly. But he didn't completely succeed. I still dream. I still want good. He comes around the island, stands beside me, and when his hand touches mine over the bowl, it's like electricity. Because you're going to Maui, Nora. I promise you that. We stay like this for a moment, hands touching, too close, the tension between us thick enough to cut. Then I pull away, grabbing another bowl, trying to ignore how my heart races. Want to try? I offer, needing to break the intensity before I drown in it. His eyes light up in a way that reminds me of the Kieran from 7 years ago, of the boy who ate my food as if it were the most important thing in the world. I prepare a plate, careful with each element. Perfectly marinated tuna, vinegared rice at the right temperature, fresh avocado, edamame, scallions. I place it in front of him and wait, nervous in a way I haven't felt in months. Kieran picks up the chopsticks, takes a piece, closes his eyes as he tastes it, and the expression that crosses his face completely disarms me. It's peace. It's pleasure. It's something close to ecstasy. I missed this, he says when he opens his eyes, voice hoarse. The food, you. The correction comes firm and absolute. It was always you, Nora. The food was just an excuse to stay close, to have pieces of you I could keep. My heart is beating so hard I can barely breathe. Kieran, my phone rings, cutting through the moment. It vibrates on the counter where I left it, screen lighting up with a notification. I'm going to ignore it, but Kieran is already looking. And the change in him is instantaneous and terrifying. Don't answer, he says, voice transformed into something icy. But I've already seen the name on the screen. Tyler. With trembling hands, I pick up the phone. There are 3 messages, then 2 more. He found out where I am. Thought you could hide from me. You're mine. Nora. Mine. Doesn't matter who you're with. I'm coming for you. And I'll kill whoever thinks they can protect you. You're going to pay for this. The phone is ripped from my hand before I can fully process the threats. Kieran reads, and what I see on his face terrifies me. It's not anger. It's something colder, more calculated, more deadly. Stay here, he orders, already grabbing the jacket he'd taken off. What are you going to do? Handle this. He's moving away, steps determined, but I stop him with my voice. Kieran, please don't. He comes back, fast, grabs my face with both hands and kisses me. It's brief, intense, loaded with promise and possessiveness, and something that feels a lot like desperation. Trust me, he whispers against my lips. Just this once. Trust that I'll protect you the right way. And then he's gone, leaving me alone in the kitchen with half-finished food and fear growing in my chest. Because I know that when Kieran comes back, Tyler Cross will have learned exactly what happens when you touch what's his. And a part of me, that dark part Tyler created with every punch, every cruel word, every piece of me he broke, is happy about it. Chapter 4. Confrontation.
Every secret has a price, and tonight, someone is paying it.
I spend the next 3 hours pacing through Kieran's house like a caged animal. Every passing minute is torture, Every second without news from him increases the fear growing in my chest like a living, suffocating thing. What is he doing? Where's Tyler? What happens when a man like Kieran Vale, with all that contained power and silent fury, meets the man who broke me? I try not to think, try to focus on anything. I clean the kitchen 3 times, reorganize ingredients that don't need reorganizing, make coffee I won't drink, but nothing works. Nothing removes from my mind the image of Kieran leaving here with that deadly expression on his face, that intense kiss that felt like both a promise and a goodbye. I curl up on the living room couch, hug my knees, ignoring the pain in my ribs, and wait. It's all I can do. Wait and pray he comes back in one piece, that this ends once and for all. While I waited, everything was happening without me knowing. The warehouse in the industrial zone was exactly as Kieran had ordered, empty, silent, a single light hanging from the ceiling, creating a circle of illumination in the center of the cavernous space. And right in the middle of that circle, a chair, simple, solitary, waiting. Kieran Vale was in the shadows, out of reach of the light, hands in the pockets of the suit he hadn't even bothered to change. He didn't need special preparation for this. Tyler Cross didn't deserve that effort. He checked his watch, 11:42 p.m. Tyler would arrive in 3 minutes if he was punctual, and desperate men trying to impress were always punctual. The call had been brief and objective. Tyler Cross, this is Kieran Vale. I need you to come to the industrial zone warehouse. Now, it's about work. The shocked silence on the other end had been almost comical. The boss never called low-level employees directly. Tyler probably thought he was finally being recognized, promoted, validated. Poor idiot. The sound of a car arriving echoed outside. Kieran didn't move. Just waited, patient as a predator, while hurried footsteps approached the side door. Tyler entered with the confidence of someone who thought he was there for good news. 27 years old, disheveled blonde hair, cheap jacket, the posture of someone trying to seem bigger than he was. Kieran studied him in silence. This man who had put his hands on the only pure thing he'd ever had in his life. Mr. Vale? Tyler's voice echoed through the empty warehouse. Uncertain now, he looked around, searching, not seeing Kieran in the shadows. Kieran took a step forward. Entering the light, he saw Tyler's startled reaction, the way his body tensed. Sit, Kieran said, voice low and controlled, pointing to the chair. Tyler hesitated, eyes going from the chair to Kieran and back. Mr. Vale, is there a problem? My work. I can sit. This time it wasn't a request. Tyler obeyed, nervous movements, and Kieran saw when reality started to hit, saw when Tyler realized this wasn't about a promotion, wasn't about normal work, wasn't anything good. Kieran approached slowly, calculated, letting each step echo through the empty space. He stopped right in front of Tyler, too close, invading personal space on purpose, dominance established without needing words. Do you know why you're here? Kieran asked, voice dangerously calm. No, sir. Did I do something wrong? If there's a problem with my work. Kieran took his phone from his pocket with slow, deliberate movements, unlocked it, found the first medical photo of Nora in the hospital, broken ribs visible in the x-ray, purple bruises marking pale skin. He turned the screen toward Tyler. Recognize this? He saw the color drain from Tyler's face, saw the exact moment the man realized he was completely fucked. I don't... Tyler swallowed hard, eyes glued to the photo. I don't know what... Kieran moved to the next photo. More bruises, then another, and another. Every image of what Tyler had done, every piece of evidence of the violence. Want to try again? Kieran's voice was pure ice. Or should we stop wasting time with lies? Mr. Vale, please. I can explain. Explain? Kieran took another step closer, and Tyler shrank in the chair. Explain then. Explain how a coward who works in my warehouse had the nerve to put his hands on Nora Bennett. Explain the 3 broken ribs. Explain why she was on the apartment floor barely able to breathe. Tyler was shaking now, sweat visible on his forehead under the harsh light. Nora, she drove me crazy. She doesn't listen. Kieran's hand moved so fast Tyler didn't even see it. Suddenly there were fingers gripping his throat, not squeezing hard enough to suffocate, but enough to make it absolutely clear who had the power here. No, Kieran said, voice low and deadly. You don't finish that sentence. You don't put the blame on her. You don't try to justify. Because nothing, absolutely nothing, justifies what you did. He released Tyler's throat with a shove, making the chair rock dangerously. Tyler coughed, one hand going to his neck, eyes wide with pure fear. Kieran grabbed his phone again. This time he opened the messages, the ones Tyler had sent hours ago, full of threats and sick possessiveness. You're mine, Nora. Mine. Kieran read aloud, each word distilling contempt. I'm coming for you, and I'll kill whoever thinks they can protect you. He raised his eyes to Tyler. Those are your words, aren't they? Tyler opened and closed his mouth, no sound coming out. Answer, Kieran ordered. Yes, but I was angry. I didn't think. You didn't think. Kieran let out a humorless laugh. You didn't think when you broke her ribs. Didn't think when you left her bleeding on the floor. Didn't think when you sent these messages. How convenient. He put the phone away, placed his hands in his pockets, casual posture that contrasted completely with the storm in his dark eyes. Let me ask you a question, Tyler. Do you know who Nora Bennett is? Really know? Confusion crossed Tyler's pale face. She's my girlfriend. Or was. Wrong. The word cut through the air like a blade. Kieran leaned in, hands braced on the chair arms, face inches from Tyler's. She's mine. Always has been. Always will be. And you, Tyler Cross, you touched what's mine. He saw understanding hit Tyler like a train, saw his eyes widen, mouth open in shock, entire body freeze. Yours, Tyler whispered, voice breaking. She never said. I didn't know she. And if you had known, Kieran interrupted him, voice cutting, would it have made a difference? Would it have stopped you from breaking her ribs? From making her beg for help on her living room floor? Silence. Tyler had no answer because they both knew the truth. It wouldn't have made a difference, Kieran answered for him, because you're an abusive coward who feels powerful hurting someone smaller than you. You hit women because you don't have the courage to face men. It's pathetic. Mr. Vale, please. Tyler was begging now, tears in his eyes. And I didn't know, never imagined. If I had known, I never would have. Lie. Kieran stepped back, started walking in circles around the chair like a shark. You would have done exactly the same thing. The only difference is now you're scared, not of having hurt her, but of having to pay for it. Tyler was crying openly now, tears streaming down his face, body trembling. All that false power, all that confidence he used to dominate Nora, had evaporated, because deep down he always knew he was weak. He just needed someone stronger to show him. Please, Tyler begged, voice broken. Please, Mr. Vale, I'm sorry. I'll never go near her again. I swear, You're right. Kieran stopped in front of him. You'll never go near her again. I'm going to give you a choice. One and final. Listen carefully because I won't repeat it. Tyler nodded frantically, red eyes glued to Kieran. Option 1. Kieran raised one finger. You disappear. Completely. You leave Boston in 24 hours. Never come back. Never try to make contact. Vanish from her life as if you never existed. I'll even be generous and give you $5,000 to start somewhere else. Pause. He let the option hang in the air. Option 2. He raised another finger, voice getting lower, more dangerous. You stay. Try to be smart. Try to go back to her. And I personally guarantee you'll never be found. Not a piece. Not a memory. The silence that followed was absolute. Tyler was frozen, processing, understanding there was no negotiation, no middle ground, no escape. Which will it be? Kieran asked, patient. The first, Tyler said immediately, voice desperate. The first, please. I'll leave. I'll never look at her again. I promise, I swear. Good. Kieran pulled an envelope from the inside pocket of his suit, threw it in Tyler's lap. 5,000. Clean money. 24 hours. One of my men will escort you to the state border to make sure you don't change your mind along the way. Tyler grabbed the envelope with trembling hands, pressed it against his chest as if it were a lifeline. And then Tyler, Kieran said, voice returning to that deadly calm tone. If I find out you breathed in her direction, if you tried to call, text, show up anywhere she is, there won't be a second chance. There won't be a conversation. There will only be consequences. And I guarantee you'll wish you'd chosen option 2 when it was still quick. Tyler nodded frantically, still crying, pathetic and broken. Now get out of my sight, Kieran ordered, before I change my mind and choose for you. Tyler stood so fast the chair almost fell, stumbled over his own feet in his rush to leave, envelope pressed against his chest. Kieran watched him flee through the warehouse, heard the car start outside, the sound of the engine fading into the night. He stood there for a long moment, in the silence, letting the adrenaline drop, letting control return completely. There was a part of him that wanted to have chosen option 2, a dark part that wanted to make Tyler pay with much more than exile. But Nora didn't need violent revenge. She needed peace, and he would give her that, even if it cost his own satisfaction. He grabbed his phone, sent a quick message. Confirm when he crosses the border. The response came in seconds. Confirmed, boss. Kieran allowed himself a small smile. Tyler Cross was out of Nora's life, permanently. When I finally hear the front door open, I jump from the couch so fast the pain in my ribs makes me stumble. I don't care. I just need to see that he's okay, that he came back, that it's over. Kieran walks in, and my heart almost stops. He's intact, not a hair out of place. The suit still perfect, the tie still in place. But there's something in his eyes, something dark and satisfied that tells me whatever happened, Tyler now knows exactly who he was dealing with. And what did you do? The words come out before I can stop them, loaded with mixed worry and fear and relief. Kieran looks at me for a long moment, and I can see the effort he makes to return from wherever he was mentally. Then he goes to the bar, pours whiskey, drinks half at once. I made sure he'll never hurt you again, he finally says, voice controlled. Did you kill him? The fear in my voice is real, visceral, because part of me knows Kieran is capable of that, and I don't know how to deal with it. He turns to me, something like dark amusement crossing his face. No, but he'd wish I had. My stomach tightens. Kieran, please, tell me what happened. I need to know. He sighs, finishes the whiskey, comes to me. He takes my hand, guides me to the couch, and when he finally speaks, it's with a calm that scares me more than yelling would. I gave him a choice. Disappear completely from your life, from the city, vanish as if he'd never existed, or deal with me the way I deal with people who hurt what's mine. Pause, dark eyes studying me. He chose wisely. He left, I whisper, barely able to believe it. Just like that, just left. He left. The certainty in his voice is absolute. He has 24 hours to get out of Boston. I gave him money to start somewhere else, and I made it very, very clear what happens if he comes back. I should feel relieved, should be happy it ended without real violence, without blood, but all I can feel is a huge confusion of emotions. Relief, yes, but also fear of the power Kieran has, of the way he can make someone abandon their entire life with a simple conversation. You're afraid of me, he says quietly, and it's not a question. No, I respond, and it's true. Not of you, but of what you represent, of the world you live in, of knowing you can do these things so easily. Kieran takes my face in both hands, forces me to look in his eyes. Everything I am, everything I can do, is yours, to protect you, to give you safety, to make sure no one ever hurts you again. Does that scare you? Yes, I admit, honest, because Tyler also said he was protecting me, that it was for my own good, and look where that got me. The pain that crosses his face is genuine. I'm not him, never will be. Tyler used force to diminish you. I use mine to elevate you, and then he kisses me, and it's like all the fear melts away. His hands on my face are gentle but firm, and when he pulls me closer, ignoring the broken ribs because we both need this, I can feel the promise in his touch. When we pull apart, I'm breathless and confused, and in love in a way that terrifies me. Tyler left, I say, testing the words, trying to believe. He really left. He did. Kieran presses his forehead to mine, and he's not coming back. I promise. I want to believe. God, how I want to believe. But a part of me, that part Tyler shaped with fear and pain, whispers that men like him always come back, that this isn't over, that the peace is temporary. But for now, in Kieran's arms, I let myself pretend I'm safe, that it's over, that I can finally breathe without fear, even knowing that deep down, the storm is just beginning. Chapter 5, Falling Again.
I told myself I wouldn't fall again, but my heart didn't listen.
1 week turns into 2, 2 into 3, and gradually, something strange happens. I start to feel safe. Tyler disappeared, really disappeared. Kieran receives daily updates confirming he's somewhere in Texas, working at a factory, living in a tiny apartment, alone and far from me. With each day that passes without a message, without a threat, without that constant fear in my stomach, I can breathe a little deeper, and living with Kieran becomes surprisingly natural. We fall into a routine we didn't plan, but that works perfectly. I wake up early, before him, and make coffee. Not the basic coffee I made at the diner, but the kind I learned he likes. Strong, no sugar, served in the porcelain cup he keeps in the highest cabinet. He comes down already dressed for the day, always impeccable in suits as beautiful as they are expensive, and the small smile that crosses his face when he sees the cup waiting warms me inside in a dangerous way. "Good morning," he says, voice still hoarse with sleep, and he picks up the cup, brings it to his lips, closes his eyes on that first sip, and I watch, every morning, that moment of pure satisfaction, and I wonder how it's possible to feel so much for someone who also hurt me so much. The nights are mine. Kieran comes back late, always late, smelling of power and danger and something I don't want to name, but no matter how tired he is, he always comes straight to the kitchen, where he finds me creating, experimenting, becoming who I was before Tyler tried to erase that part of me. What is it today?" he asks, loosening his tie, leaning on the center island while watching me work. Tuna poke with homemade ponzu sauce, I respond, cutting scallions with precision I was forgetting I had. I want to get the balance right between sweet and sour. He doesn't offer an opinion, just watches. And there's something in the way he observes me, with that intensity that makes my skin tingle, that makes me want to cook better, create more, shine under that dark gaze. When I serve, he tastes with the seriousness of a food critic, and I wait, nervous in a way I haven't felt in years. His approval matters too much. Perfect, he finally says. And the word is simple, but loaded with so much pride I feel my chest tighten. And Nora, this is absolutely perfect. And so we go. Mornings with coffee, nights with food, and in between, conversations that get deeper, more intimate, more dangerous. It's on a Sunday afternoon, when Kieran is surprisingly home, that everything changes. Teach me, he says suddenly, entering the kitchen where I'm preparing fresh pasta. Teach you what? To cook. He rolls up the sleeves of his white shirt, revealing forearms I shouldn't find so attractive. I want to learn. I can't hold back the laugh. You? Cook? Kieran, you probably have a personal chef somewhere. Had, he corrects, coming to stand beside me. I let him go when you arrived. Your food is the only food I want. The way he says it, casual but intense, makes me lose the rhythm of my hands in the dough. Okay, I agree, trying to ignore how my heart races with him so close. Let's start with something simple. Tomato sauce. It's a disaster. An adorable, frustrating, completely charming disaster. Kieran, who commands a criminal empire with an iron fist, can't chop an onion without almost cutting his own finger. He burns the garlic twice, puts in so much salt the sauce is inedible. And I laugh. I really laugh. For the first time in years. I laugh until my ribs hurt, until tears stream down my face, until Kieran is laughing too. That deep, genuine sound that makes me want to keep the moment forever. I'm terrible at this, he admits, looking at the disaster in the pan with something like personal offense. It's awful. I agree, still laughing. But it was the cutest attempt I've ever seen. He looks at me then, and something in the air changes. It gets heavier, more charged. His smile fades, replaced by that intensity that leaves me breathless. You're laughing, he says softly. When was the last time you laughed like that? The question hits me like a punch. When was it? I can't remember. Not with Tyler. Definitely not with Tyler. Maybe years ago. Maybe never like this. So free, so genuine. I don't know, I whisper, the laughter dying in my throat. He took that from you too. It's not a question. Kieran knows. Sees everything Tyler tried to destroy in me. Took your light, your joy. Made you forget what it's like to be happy. The tears come different now. Not from laughter, from pain, from recognition, from realizing how much I lost, how much I let be stolen from me. He made me believe I was nothing, I admit, voice breaking, that I was lucky he wanted to stay with me, that I should be grateful someone would put up with me. You're everything. Kieran's words come out firm, absolute, and he turns my body to face him completely. Listen carefully, Nora. You're everything. You're talented and beautiful and strong and deserve the whole world at your feet. Tyler was a coward who needed to diminish you to feel big. But you're a giant. Always have been. I want to believe. I want so badly to believe his words. But there's a voice in my head, planted by months of abuse, that whispers I'm not enough, that I don't deserve this, that I'll ruin everything. You left me, I say suddenly, and I didn't plan to talk about this now, but it's coming out anyway. 7 years ago, you left me and made me feel like I wasn't good enough for you to want to stay. The pain that crosses his face is visceral and deep. Worst mistake of my life, he says, hands going to my face, forcing me to look in his dark eyes. Worst mistake I ever made. I thought I was protecting you, but I only hurt you, and I carry that guilt every day. Every single one of these 7 years. How do I know you won't do it again? The question comes out small, vulnerable. How do I know that when things get hard, when your dangerous world seems like too much, you won't decide again that it's better to leave me? Because I learned, he responds, forehead touching mine. I learned that losing you hurts more than any danger. I learned that living without you is just existing. I learned that I'd rather have you here, by my side, facing everything together, than protect you from afar while we both bleed. My heart is beating so hard I'm sure he can feel it. You shine here, Kieran continues, looking around the kitchen, coming back to me, in this space, creating, cooking, being you, and I want to give you more. I want to give you everything. Kieran, I bought a space, he says suddenly, and I can see the vulnerability in him now. A downtown, view of the harbor, complete commercial kitchen, space for 50 people. My heart stops. What? Your restaurant, Nora, your dream. I want to give you that. He takes my hands, and I can feel a slight tremor in them. I want to see you shine, not just here, but for the whole world. I want all of Boston to taste your food and know you're extraordinary. Tears are falling freely now. A restaurant, my restaurant. The dream I abandoned, that Tyler said was ridiculous, that I thought I'd never have the courage to pursue. You would do this, I whisper, barely able to believe. For me, I'd do anything, he responds simply. Anything to see you happy. And suddenly we're very close. So close I can feel his breath on my skin, see the small golden flecks in his dark eyes, feel the heat radiating from his body. His eyes fall to my mouth, and I see the struggle in him, desire and restraint fighting. I want him to kiss me. I want it so badly it hurts. But when he leans in, when his lips are millimeters from mine, fear wins. I pull back. I'm still afraid, I admit, voice breaking, of you leaving again, of all this disappearing, of waking up one day, and you having decided it's better to protect me from afar. Kieran closes his eyes for a moment, breathes deep, and when he opens them again, there's a determination there that disarms me. Never again, he promises, hands still framing my face. Never again am I going anywhere. Never again will I leave you. Even if I have to spend every day of the rest of my life proving it, I will. You hear me, Nora? Never again. And I can see he believes it. I can see the sincerity, the promise, the commitment in his eyes. I just hope I'm strong enough to believe it too. Chapter 6. Maui Dream.
What if the dream I gave up is waiting for me, right now?
Pack a bag. Kieran says this on Friday morning. While I'm drinking coffee and reading recipes on my tablet, I look up, confused, and he's leaning against the kitchen door frame with that half smile I've learned means he's planning something. What? I ask, setting down my cup. A bag, clothes for a week. Bring something light, comfortable. He approaches, takes my hand, and there's a gleam in his dark eyes I can't decipher. We leave in 3 hours. My heart races. Kieran. Where? You'll see. He kisses my forehead, quick and sweet. Do you trust me? And the truth is yes. Despite everything. Despite the fears. Despite the complicated history. I trust him in a way I haven't trusted anyone in a long time. So I nod, and the smile that spreads across his face is worth everything. 3 hours later, I'm in the back seat of a car heading to the airport. Small suitcase in the trunk. Nervousness and excitement fighting in my stomach. Kieran hasn't given any hints. Just held my hand the entire way. Fingers intertwined with mine. Thumb tracing absent circles on my skin in a way that makes me forget how to breathe properly. When we arrive at the terminal and I see the destination on the departure board, my world stops. Maui. The letters shine there. Big and impossible and real. Maui, Hawaii. The dream I've carried since I was 18. The place Tyler said was ridiculous. Unattainable. A waste of fantasy. You. My voice fails. Tears already burning in my eyes. You're taking me to Maui. Kieran turns to me, and the tenderness on his face completely undoes me. And I said I'd give you your dreams, Nora. This is just the beginning. I cry right there, in the middle of the airport, not caring who's watching. I throw my arms around his neck, and Kieran holds me tight, face buried in my hair, and I can feel him smile against my temple. Thank you, I whisper, voice choked. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't thank me yet, he says, pulling back enough to wipe my tears with his thumbs. Wait until you see the rest. The flight is long, but I don't care. I spend hours glued to the window, watching the ocean below, barely believing this is real. Kieran works on his laptop beside me, but every so often I feel his eyes on me, feel the heat of that gaze, and when our eyes meet, there's something there that makes my stomach flip. When we land and the warm, humid Hawaiian air envelops me, I feel like I'm waking from a years-long dream. This is real. I'm actually here, in Maui. The place I lived in my imagination for so long I sometimes forgot it existed for real. The house Kieran rented takes my breath away. It's on the beach, huge glass windows giving a direct view of the ocean, the sound of waves constant and hypnotizing. But what really makes me stop in the middle of the living room is the kitchen. It's perfect. Completely. Absolutely perfect. White marble counters, state-of-the-art appliances, giant center island, and that view, that impossible view of the ocean while I cook. It's everything I always imagined and more. Kieran, I whisper, turning slowly to absorb every detail. This is yours, he finishes, setting the bags down near the door. For a whole week, I want you to cook, explore, create. I want you to be completely free here. I go to him, without thinking, and kiss his face. It's an impulse, spontaneous, and I see surprise in his eyes followed by something hotter, more dangerous, but he doesn't advance. Just smiles, small and genuine, and says, Go, explore the island. I took care of everything. The next few days are the happiest of my life. Kieran takes me to local farmers markets, where I buy fresh ingredients I've never seen in person. Ripe mango straight from the tree, fish so fresh it still gleams, macadamia roasted on the spot. Every purchase is a discovery, and Kieran carries everything without complaint, just watching me with that expression that's becoming familiar, that look that says seeing my happiness is all he wants. He arranged time with local chefs. I spend an entire afternoon learning to make authentic poke with a Hawaiian woman who treats me like a granddaughter. Another morning preparing kalua pig with a chef who's had a restaurant on the island for 30 years. And Kieran is always there, sitting in the corner, watching, and when our eyes meet, there's pride there. Pure, simple pride. At night, I cook for the two of us in the house. I create dishes that blend everything I've learned, and Kieran eats every bite as if it's the best thing he's ever tasted. And maybe it's the setting. Maybe it's the freedom. Maybe it's just being here with him. But for the first time in years, I feel like I'm really myself. Complete. Whole. Not broken. It's on the fourth night that everything changes. We're on the beach, barefoot in the sand, still warm from the day. Ocean water lapping at our ankles. The sunset paints everything orange and pink and gold. And it's so beautiful it hurts. Kieran is beside me, hands in his pockets, looking at the horizon. And there's a peace in him I've never seen before. As if here, away from everything he carries, he can finally just breathe. And thank you, I say suddenly, turning to him, for this, for everything, for giving me this dream. He looks at me, and the way the sunlight hitting his face makes him look younger, softer, steals my breath. You deserve the world, Nora, he says softly. I'm just giving you pieces. And something inside me breaks, or maybe fixes itself. I don't know. I just know that suddenly I'm moving, hands going to his face, pulling him down, and I'm kissing Kieran Vale like my life depends on it. He freezes for half a second, surprised, and then he's kissing me back. His hands go to my waist, pull me closer, and the kiss is everything. It's 7 years of longing. It's every night I dreamed of him. It's forgiveness and promise and passion all mixed into something so intense my knees go weak. When we pull apart, we're both breathless, foreheads touching, and I can feel his heart beating as fast as mine. I never stopped, I confess, words coming out in an urgent whisper. Never stopped loving you, Kieran. I tried. God, how I tried. But you were always here. I place his hand over my heart. Always. His eyes shine with something that looks like unshed tears. I carried you with me every day of these 7 years, he says, voice hoarse with emotion. Every woman I met, I compared to you. Every coffee, every meal, every quiet moment. You were there, always you. I kiss him again, and this time there's no hesitation. His hands move up my back, press me against him, and I can feel every tense muscle, every hard line of his body against mine. It's intoxicating and terrifying and perfect. Stay with me, he whispers against my lips. Not just now, forever. Stay with me, Nora. Yes, I respond without hesitating, because it's the easiest thing I've ever said. Yes, yes, yes. He picks me up like I weigh nothing. I laugh against his neck, happy and free and completely in love, and he carries me across the sand, back to the house while the sun finishes setting behind us. That night is just ours. He loves me with a tenderness that makes me cry, with a passion that makes me forget my own name, with a reverence that makes me feel precious in a way I've never felt before. And when we finally fall asleep, intertwined under white sheets with the sound of the ocean outside, I feel like I've finally come home, not to the place, but to him, to Kieran, where I always belonged. I wake to sunlight streaming through the windows and Kieran watching me. He's propped on his elbow, hair messy in a way that makes him look younger, and there's something in his eyes I can't name. Good morning, I whisper, feeling a blush rise to my face remembering the night. Good morning, love, he responds, and the word, love, said so naturally makes me melt. His fingers trace soft patterns on my bare shoulder, making me shiver. How do you feel? Happy, I say honestly. Happier than I've ever been. He smiles, that rare, genuine smile that completely transforms his face. Good, because we have 5 more days here, and I intend to make every one of them unforgettable. And he keeps his promise. We spend the days exploring the island together. He takes me to see the sunrise at the top of Haleakala, and we cry together at the absolute beauty. We swim in hidden waterfalls where we're the only ones in the world. He learns to surf just to make me laugh when he falls off the waves repeatedly. And every night we return to that beach house, where I cook, and he watches as if it's the most fascinating thing in the universe. On the last night, While I'm preparing a special dinner using everything I learned during the week, Kieran comes from behind, arms around my waist, chin resting on my shoulder. I don't want this to end, he says softly. Me neither, I agree, leaning into him. But we can come back, whenever we want. It's not about the place, he says, turning me to face him. It's about this, about us, about you being happy and free and completely yourself. I want that for you always, Nora, not just in Maui. You give me that, I say, hands going to his face. Just being with you, I feel like I can be who I really am. He kisses me, sweet and deep, and when we pull apart, there's a promise in his eyes. And then let's make this work, he says, no matter what comes. Together, I agree, and I feel the deep truth of the word. That last night in Maui, with the sound of the ocean outside and Kieran beside me, I sleep with a smile on my face and certainty in my heart. Paradise isn't a place, it's a person, and I found mine. But at that moment, I didn't yet know that everything was about to fall apart. Chapter 7. Back to reality.
I thought happiness meant peace.
The trip back to Boston is quiet in a different way than the trip there. It's not discomfort, it's contemplation. Kieran holds my hand during the entire flight, fingers intertwined, and every so often I look at him and find his eyes already on me, that intense gaze I now recognize as pure, simple love. But as we approach the city, I feel something change, a tension growing in the air. Kieran checks his phone more often. His posture gets more rigid. The relaxed man from Maui is being replaced by the boss who commands an empire, and I don't know how to feel about that. And now? I ask when the plane lands, my voice suddenly small. Maui was like a perfect bubble, but here is your real world, real danger. And he cuts me off with a kiss, quick but firm. Now you're mine, officially, and everyone will know. There's something possessive in the way he says it, but also protective. No one will touch you, Nora, I guarantee it. I want to believe. I need to believe. The car takes us not to his house, but to downtown. I'm confused until we stop in front of a beautiful exposed brick building with huge glass windows overlooking the harbor. Where are we? I ask, but Kieran is already getting out, coming around the car to open my door. Come, he says simply, taking my hand. He guides me to the entrance, and when the door opens, my heart stops completely. It's a restaurant. No, it's my restaurant. The space is stunning, all decorated in shades of blue and white that remind me of the ocean. Light wood that echoes Hawaiian beaches. There are tropical plants in strategically placed pots, huge photographs of Maui on the walls, and in the center of everything, a beautiful open kitchen where I can see every customer, where they can see me creating. Kieran, my voice fails, tears already falling. Look outside, he says softly, guiding me to the window, and there it is, in elegant letters on the glass facade. Nora's, my name, my restaurant, my dream materialized. I drop to my knees right there, sobbing, and Kieran is immediately beside me, pulling me into his lap, holding me while I cry years of suppressed hope, dreams I thought impossible, happiness so intense it hurts. You did this, I managed to say between sobs. You really did this. I promised I'd give you your dreams, he says against my hair, and I always keep my promises. I spend the next hour exploring every corner, the pantry full of quality ingredients, the wine cellar with carefully selected wines, the uniforms already ready with my name embroidered, even the menu, already beautifully designed, just waiting for me to fill it with my creations. We can open in a month, Kieran explains, watching me touch everything with reverence. I hired an experienced manager to handle the administrative side. You just need to focus on what you do best. Cook, create, shine. I can't stop crying. From happiness this time. From gratitude. From love so deep I don't know how my heart fits in my chest. The next few weeks pass in a blur of planning and preparation. I create the entire menu, testing each dish dozens of times until it's perfect. Kieran tastes everything, offers honest opinions, and when we finally have 20 dishes we both agree are exceptional, I feel ready. Opening night is magical. The restaurant fills completely, reservations booked out for weeks. And when I serve the first dish, see the expression of pure joy on the customer's face. I know I did it. I really did it. Kieran is there, of course, sitting at the best table with a direct view of the kitchen. Our eyes meet through the glass, and he raises his wine glass to me, that small, proud smile on his face, and my heart overflows. I'm living my dream, with the man I love. It's perfect. It's perfect until it's not anymore. It happens in the 3rd week of operation. I'm leaving the restaurant late at night, after everyone has gone. I'm tired but happy, thinking about the new dish I want to test tomorrow, when I hear rapid footsteps behind me. I don't have time to turn. Hands grab me, pull me into the alley beside the restaurant, and suddenly there are two men, faces covered, and one of them has a knife. "Quiet," he growls, and the other shoves me against the wall so hard I hit my head. I see stars. I try to scream, but a hand covers my mouth. Panic explodes in my chest, because this can't be happening. Not again. Not when I was finally happy. "Send a message to your boyfriend," the man with the knife says, bringing the blade close to my face. "Tell him if he doesn't back off from the Northern Territories, next time we won't be so nice." And then his fist comes straight to my stomach. The pain is explosive and familiar. Exactly where my ribs are still weak, still sore. I fall to the ground, gasping, breathless, and I can hear laughter as they run off. "Vale's whore," one of them shouts over his shoulder. "Tell him Markov sends his regards." I stay there, curled up on the cold alley floor, and it's like all the nightmares come back at once. The feeling of helplessness, of being used as a tool to hurt someone, of having no control over my own body. It's Kieran who finds me. His security must have noticed my delay, must have called him, because suddenly he's there, kneeling beside me, face pale with terror. Nora, talk to me." His hands examine me, searching for injuries, and when they touch my stomach, and I wince in pain, I see something break in him. "Who did this?" "Who?" "Markov," I managed to whisper. They said it was a message. Northern Territories. The transformation in him is immediate and terrifying. His eyes go completely black. His jaw so tense the muscles jump. And when he picks me up with a gentleness that contradicts the fury emanating from him, I know blood will be spilled for this. But all I can think is this my life now? Hospital again. X-rays again. Fortunately, nothing broken this time, just severe contusions. But the pain isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's realizing that being loved by Kieran Vale means being a target, means living with fear, means the peace I found is an illusion. I'm sorry. Kieran is sitting in the chair beside the hospital bed, head in his hands, and I've never seen him so destroyed. "Nora, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. All of this." "It is," I say, and he looks up, eyes wide with pain. "It is your fault, your world, your enemies, and I'm the easiest way to hurt you." I see tears in his eyes then, real ones, not shed, but there. "I can end this," he says, voice broken. "I can give you a new identity, send you anywhere in the world, eternal security but away from me. If that's what you want." "I don't know what I want," I interrupt. "Honest, I love you. God, how I love you. But I'm so scared, Kieran. Scared that next time they won't be so nice. Scared that living with you means dying for you." The silence that falls is heavy and painful. Kieran stands, comes to the bed, takes my hand with fingers that tremble slightly. "Then choose," he says, each word seeming torn from inside him. "Because I won't decide for you again. I won't take away your choice. If you want to go, I'll let you go. I'll protect you from afar. I'll give you the life you deserve even if it kills me to do it. But if you stay, I promise I'll use every drop of power I have to make sure this never happens again. That you're safe. That we can have our life together." I look at him, at the man I love, the man who saved me and brought me back to life, and also the man whose world almost destroyed me again. And I don't know. I simply don't know if love is worth the danger, if happiness is worth the constant fear. "I need time," I finally whisper, "to think, to decide if I can live like this." The pain on his face is like a stab to my heart, but he nods, kisses my forehead with trembling lips, and says, "As much time as you need, I'll be waiting." And when he leaves the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts and my fear, I cry. I cry because I finally had everything, and now I don't know if I can keep it. Chapter 8. The choice. I spend 3 days in Kieran's house without really seeing him. He gives me space, disappears early in the morning and comes back late at night, and when our paths cross, there's such deep pain in his eyes I can barely hold his gaze. But he promised me time, and he's keeping that promise, even though it's visibly killing him inside. Jade comes to see me on the second day. My best friend, who's been with me through everything, sits beside me on the couch and just holds me while I cry. I don't say anything for a long time. Just let the tears fall. Let the fear and confusion leak out in silent sobs. "Tell me," she finally says, brushing my hair from my wet face. "Tell me everything." So I tell her about Tyler and the broken ribs, about the wrong message that changed everything, about Kieran coming back after 7 years, about Maui and the restaurant and feeling happier than I ever imagined possible, and then about the attack, about the men in the alley, about realizing that loving Kieran means living with a target on my back. I just wanted peace, I whisper when I finish, voice broken and tired. That's all I ever wanted, just peace. A simple life where I can cook and be happy and not be afraid all the time. But with Tyler, I was afraid of him. And now with Kieran, I'm afraid of his world. When do I get to just live without fear? Jade is silent for a moment, processing. Then she asks the only thing that matters. Are you happy with him? With Kieran? The answer comes without hesitation. Happier than I've ever been in my entire life. And without him, the pain that crosses my chest at that question is physical and sharp. Empty. Incomplete. Like half of me is missing. Jade takes my hand, squeezes hard. Then you already know the answer, Nora. You're just scared to admit it. But what if it happens again? What if next time is worse? What if you spend the rest of your life asking, what if? She interrupts me, voice firm but gentle. Look, I won't lie and say his world isn't dangerous. Clearly it is. But that man loves you in a way I've never seen anyone love another person. And you love him the same way. That's rare, Nora. That's precious. So fight for it. For him. For both of you. Her words echo in my head long after she leaves. Fight. For so long I was a victim. First of Tyler, then of circumstances. Always letting life happen to me instead of making active choices. But maybe it's time to fight. To choose love despite fear. To decide I deserve happiness even if it comes with risk. It's on the 4th night that Kieran finally breaks. I go downstairs to get water and find him in the dark living room, sitting on the couch with a half-empty bottle of whiskey on the coffee table. His shirt is unbuttoned, tie thrown aside, and when he looks up at me, I see he's been crying. Kieran Vale, the most powerful and dangerous man I know, has been crying because of me. Sorry, he says, voice hoarse. I didn't want you to see me like this. I was just... He stops, runs his hands through his hair, and when he continues, there's a vulnerability in him I've never seen. Trying to figure out how to let you go. My heart breaks. Kieran, because that's what I need to do, right? He stands, starts pacing, energy too restless to stay still. I love you too much to be selfish again, to trap you in a world that only hurts you. So I arranged everything. New identity, house in Maui, permanent, in your name, bank account that will support you for the rest of your life, discreet but constant security. You can have the life you always dreamed of, just without me. Tears stream down my face. You would do that. Let me go. I'd do anything for you. He stops in front of me, takes my face with hands that tremble slightly. Even lose you again if it's what keeps you safe and happy. Because your well-being matters more than my happiness. It always will. And it's in this moment I know with absolute certainty what I want, what I need. I don't want Maui without you, I say, voice firm despite the tears. I don't want safety without you. I don't want any of this perfect life you're offering if you're not in it. He closes his eyes, pain crossing his face. Nora, my world is dangerous. I know. I place my hands over his, still on my face. I know that. And yes, I'm scared, terrified, actually. But you know what I'm more afraid of? Living without you. Spending every day wondering where you are, if you're okay, if you still think about me. That would kill me more than any danger. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do. My voice gets stronger now, more determined. I spent 4 days thinking. 4 days weighing my love for you against my fear of your world. And you know what I realized. I've already faced the worst. I've already lived in a relationship where I was constantly hurt, where I was afraid every day. But that fear was because of who I loved. This fear, it's despite who I love. And that makes all the difference. Kieran is looking at me like he's seeing the sun for the first time, like he can't believe what he's hearing. Tyler made me small, I continue, needing him to understand completely. Diminished me, used my fear to control me. But you make me big. You lift me up. You use your power to protect me, not to dominate me. And yes, your world has dangers, but it also has you. And I choose you, Kieran. I choose us. Even knowing it's going to be hard, even knowing it's going to be scary. Nora, his voice breaks, and I see tears shining in his dark eyes. I won't lie and say I'm not afraid. I admit, honest, I am, very much. But I'm going to learn to live with it. I'm going to learn to be strong, and you're going to help me. You're going to teach me how to navigate your world, how to protect myself, how to be your real partner, not just someone you need to hide. He's crying openly now, tears streaming down his face, and I've never seen him so vulnerable, so human, so completely mine. Are you sure? He asks, voice barely more than a whisper. Because if you stay, Nora, there's no going back. I'm going to tie you to me in every way possible. I'm going to protect you with everything I have. I'm going to make my world as safe as possible for you. But it'll still be my world. There will still be danger, I'm sure. And for the first time in days, I smile, because I discovered something these past days alone. I discovered that the peace I always wanted doesn't come from the absence of danger. It comes from being with the right person. And you're the right person, Kieran. You always have been. He kisses me then, and it's desperate and relieved and full of promises. His hands pull me closer, as if trying to fuse me into him, and I return it with the same intensity, pouring every emotion from these last days into the kiss. When we pull apart, we're both breathless and crying and laughing at the same time. It won't be easy, he warns, forehead touching mine. I'm going to have to make changes, ensure more security, deal with Markov once and for all. It'll take time. We have time, I say simply. We have the rest of our lives. He smiles, that rare, genuine smile that completely transforms his face. The rest of our lives, he repeats, as if savoring the words. I like how that sounds. Me too. That night, lying in his arms, listening to his strong heartbeat against my ear, I feel peace, not because the danger disappeared, not because everything is resolved, but because I made my choice. I chose love. I chose happiness. I chose to fight for the life I want, instead of accepting the safety I don't need. And for the first time, I feel like I own my own destiny, not a victim, not a hostage, but an active participant in my own story. With Kieran by my side, I can face anything, even his dangerous world, because I discovered that the real danger isn't living with fear, it's living without love, and I choose love. I'll always choose love. Chapter 9. War and Wedding.
Nothing will ever tear us apart.
The next few weeks are a blur of changes. Kieran doesn't tell me details, and I don't ask, but I notice the differences. More discreet security around the restaurant, different cars picking me up and dropping me off, and a change in him, a cold determination that tells me he's solving the Markov problem in a definitive way. One morning I wake up, and he's sitting on the edge of the bed, already dressed, watching me sleep. It's over, he says simply when I open my eyes. Markov is no longer a threat, neither is anyone associated with him. I don't ask how, I don't want to know. I just nod, and I see the relief in his eyes when he realizes I'm not going to question his methods. You're safe now, he continues, hand caressing my face with infinite tenderness. I sent a clear message to every corner of the city. You're untouchable, mine, and anyone who dares look at you wrong answers directly to me. It should scare me, the possessiveness, the power implicit in those words, but all I feel is security, protection, fierce love that knows no limits. Thank you, I whisper, turning my face to kiss his palm. Always, he responds. And there's a deep promise in that single word. The restaurant thrives. Nora's becomes one of Boston's most sought-after places, with reservations booked out weeks in advance. Food critics praise my Hawaiian fusion, the way I capture the essence of the islands in every dish. And every night, when I close the kitchen and look at the empty space, I feel pride, genuine, deserved pride. It's on one of these nights, 2 weeks after Kieran resolved the Markov situation, that everything changes again. I'm alone in the kitchen. Everyone has already left, testing a new dessert. Halpia with fresh coconut and caramelized mango. I'm so concentrated, adjusting the balance between sweet and sour. I don't hear him come in. Still working, his voice makes me jump, and I turn to find Kieran leaning against the doorframe, suit impeccable despite the late hour, and that look that always leaves me breathless. Just finishing something, I respond, wiping my hands on my apron. New dessert for the summer menu. He approaches, observes my work, and as always, there's genuine pride in his eyes. Can I try? I serve a small portion, watch as he tastes it, closes his eyes in that way that means I got it right, and when he opens his eyes again, there's something different there, something that makes my heart race. Perfect, he says, but he's not talking about the dessert. I see him take a deep breath, as if gathering courage, and then he's kneeling. There, in the middle of my kitchen, surrounded by stainless steel counters and the smell of caramelized mango, Kieran Vale kneels. My heart stops completely. Nora, he begins, voice firm but loaded with emotion. I don't have a ring right now. I didn't plan this, but I was watching you cook, doing what you love, shining the way I always knew you would. And I realized I don't want to wait another second. Tears are already falling down my face. Marry me, he says. And it's not a hesitant request. It's a declaration. It's a promise. It's everything. Not because it's safe, not because I solved the problems, but because it's right. Because you're mine and I'm yours, and I want the whole world to know it officially. Yes. The word comes out before he even finishes. Yes, yes, yes. He stands so fast he almost stumbles, pulls me into his arms, and kisses me with an intensity that makes me forget where we are. His hands are in my hair, on my waist, everywhere at once, and I return it with the same hunger, the same need, the same overwhelming joy. When we pull apart, we're both laughing and crying at the same time. I'll buy the ring tomorrow, he promises, forehead touching mine, the biggest diamond I can find. It doesn't need to be big, I say, hands on his face. It just needs to be from you. The smile that spreads across his face lights up everything. You're too perfect for me. No, I correct gently. I'm perfect for you. Huge difference. We plan a small wedding. Intimate. Just the people who really matter. Jade as my maid of honor, of course. Already crying from the moment I tell her the news. Some of Kieran's close associates who've become friends these past weeks. And a simple but beautiful ceremony in an old chapel overlooking the ocean. The morning of the wedding, I wake up nervous, but happy. Jade helps me get ready. And when I see myself in the mirror, simple, elegant white silk dress, hair loose in natural waves, I barely recognize the woman looking back. I'm no longer the broken Nora Tyler left bleeding on the floor. I'm not the 18-year-old girl with impossible dreams. I'm a strong, accomplished, loved woman about to marry the love of my life. You're beautiful, Jade says, crying again, and I laugh because she's been crying practically non-stop for days. I'm happy, I respond, and it's deep, simple truth. The ceremony is perfect, small and intimate and full of love. When I walk in and see Kieran waiting at the altar, the way he looks at me almost makes me stumble. There's pure adoration in his eyes, and tears he doesn't try to hide. I walk to him without hurrying, savoring every step, every heartbeat, every second of this moment I'll keep forever. When I arrive and he takes my hands, we're both trembling. The officiant speaks, but I barely hear the words. I can only focus on Kieran, on the dark eyes that know me completely, on the strong hands holding mine with infinite tenderness. Then come the vows, me first. Kieran, I begin, voice trembling but firm. You saved me twice. The first when you broke down my door and picked me up off that apartment floor. The second when you showed me that life without love isn't really life. You gave me my dreams. You gave me wings. You gave me reason to believe I deserve happiness. I promise to spend every day being worthy of this love. I promise to shine the way you always saw in me. I promise to love you on easy days and hard days. I promise to be your partner, your equal, your home, always. He's crying openly now, and I see his hands squeeze mine. Nora, he says when it's his turn, voice hoarse with emotion. You gave me reason to be more than the monster this world tried to make me. You showed me that power without love is empty, that control without connection means nothing. You taught me to be human again, to feel again, to want to be better. I promise to protect you with everything I have. I promise to use every drop of my power to guarantee your happiness. I promise to give you the world if necessary, but more than anything, I promise to love you exactly as you are, without trying to change you, without trying to diminish you. I promise to always lift you up, to be worthy of you, every day of my life. There's not a dry eye in the chapel. Jade is sobbing. Even Kieran's tough men are discreetly wiping their eyes. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant says, smiling through his own tears. You may kiss the bride. And Kieran kisses me. He kisses me as if we're sealing not just a legal commitment, but a promise of souls. He kisses me as if I'm oxygen, and he's drowning. He kisses me as if we have all the time in the world and not a second to waste. When we pull apart, there's applause and laughter and pure happiness filling the space. We're married, officially, completely, irrevocably. And when we leave the chapel hand in hand, sun shining on us, ocean glittering in the background, I feel that finally I've arrived where I was meant to be, not in a place, but with a person, my person, forever. Chapter 10, Happily Ever After.
Sometimes the wrong message leads you exactly where you belong.
1 year later, I wake to the sound of the ocean and the familiar sensation of big, warm hands wrapped around my round belly. Kieran is behind me, body pressed to mine, and even sleeping his hands protect our baby. 7 months pregnant, and I still catch myself looking at my belly with wonder. A life growing inside me, created by love. Good morning, Kieran's hoarse voice murmurs against my neck, and I feel him smile when the baby kicks exactly where his hand is. Good morning to you too, little one, I laugh, turning carefully in his arms. We're in Maui again, our second annual trip. Every year we return to where everything really began between us. Happy, he asks, as he always asks, fingers tracing soft patterns on my face. More than I dreamed, I respond, and it never stops being true. This year has been magical. Nora's received a Michelin star 3 months ago, and I cried so much with joy Kieran got worried about the baby. The restaurant is constantly packed. Critics call me a culinary genius. But that's not the best part. The best part is coming home every night and finding Kieran waiting. It's cooking together on weekends. Him still disastrous but trying. It's planning the baby's room and dreaming about the future. It's waking up every day beside the man I love and knowing he's never going anywhere. Want to go to the beach, he suggests, kissing my forehead. I nod, and he helps me up, laughing when I complain about how big I'm getting. You're beautiful, he insists, hands on my belly, absolutely radiant. We walk along the beach hand in hand, warm water lapping at our feet, golden morning sun over everything. Kieran wears only shorts, and I observe the tattoos decorating his chest. My favorite is the new one, over his heart. My name in delicate script with our wedding date underneath. What are you thinking about? He asks. About how we got here, I respond honestly. About all the turns life took. The wrong message that changed everything. Kieran stops, turns me to face him. It wasn't wrong, he says softly. It was exactly right. The universe knew you needed me as much as I needed you. You believe in fate now? I believe in us. He places his hands on my belly, and the baby kicks again. I believe some people are made to be together, and we're those people. Nora, we always have been. Tears fill my eyes. I love you so much. I love you more. He kisses me, sweet and deep. I've loved you since you were 18, serving coffee and smiling like I was the only person in the world. We stand there embracing on the beach, belly between us, and I think about everything I survived to get here. The abuse, the pain, the fear, the broken ribs and broken heart. Every piece of darkness I had to cross to find this light, and it was worth it. Every difficult second was worth having this moment, this life, this love. Are we going to be good parents? I ask suddenly. We're going to be great, Kieran responds without hesitation, because we're going to teach our child about true love, about respect, about strength and kindness, and about Hawaiian cooking, I add, laughing. Definitely about Hawaiian cooking, he agrees, smiling. When we return to the house, I stop on the porch to look at the ocean. Kieran is beside me, arm around my shoulders, and I feel a peace so deep, it almost undoes me. This is my life now. Not perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. There are still challenges, but there's love, real, deep love, the kind that heals and transforms. I think about the restaurant waiting in Boston, about the kitchen that's mine, about dreams that became reality, about Jade visiting every week, already planning to be the most present aunt in the world, about the small family we're building. What are you thinking about now? Kieran asks, kissing my hair. That sometimes the wrong message is exactly the right message. He laughs. That deep sound I've learned to love so much. Best mistake you ever made. Best mistake I ever made. I agree, leaning into him. I look at the ocean, hand on my belly where our baby moves, and I know this is the deep truth of my life. Sometimes you need to break completely to rebuild yourself stronger. Sometimes you need to cross through darkness to find the light. And sometimes, just sometimes, sending a message to the wrong number takes you exactly where you always belonged, home.
What if a cry for help was heard by the wrong person, but the only one capable of changing everything? This story is an invitation to awakening. Yes, it speaks about domestic violence, but also about everything that hurts in silence. About the abuse we accept, the pain we normalize, the inner voices that wound us every single day. Sometimes, the aggressor isn't outside. Sometimes, it's ourselves. Salvation didn't come as an isolated miracle, but as a response to an open heart. She wanted to change, she was ready, and the outside world was only the final push. Because when the decision is born within, God finds space to act, always sending signs, people, and paths. It's up to us to recognize them. I wrote this story hoping it wouldn't just be heard, but felt. That it would encourage those who listen to break cycles, to choose their own lives, to leave places, physical or emotional, that are no longer safe. That it would remind us that love doesn't hurt, care doesn't wound, and asking for help is never weakness. May this story be a reminder. When we choose ourselves, rescue begins. Pay attention to the signs. Until the next story, darling.